Hi guys. Well, I've got several little projects going today. I was almost going to call it a canning marathon, but I'm going to be working on two different projects, so you'll see me in the same clothes. But the first thing I'm going to do is render down some lard and get it jarred up. I say I'm canning it, but I'm not technically. A friend of mine, thank you Kim, gave me some pork fat. So I'm going to render it down and make it into lard. I'm pretty sure this is back fat and not leaf fat. Leaf fat, as you know, is the inside fat. And then, of course, we all know what the back fat is. But it came to me frozen in strips. So I spent yesterday in the horrific heat and wind like you wouldn't believe in the house cutting up lard. So the smaller you make your pieces, the easier and quicker it will render, and it will also actually give you a little bit more lard out of it. So I'm going to zoom the camera down here. I've got it all in this mega skillet. I'm going to see if it's going to work. I might have too much in there. But what I'm going to do for starters is just put this huge skillet, cast iron skillet, in the oven on low heat and let it get started. Okay, as you can see, this is a massive skillet. I think we call it our chicken frying skillet because you can almost fry 2 whole chickens in here. I've diced the lard up pretty small. I didn't feel like dragging the meat grinder out, and I did do it when it was partially frozen. It is much easier to cut up the fat when it's partially frozen. All right, I'm going to go stick this in the oven and come back when we're getting it down. Okay, I put the lard in the oven. I started it at 200 because I wanted to bring the heat up slowly, enough to melt to where none of it scorched on the bottom of the pan. Started at 200, went up to about 250, 300, and it's been at about 350 right now, which is probably where I'm going to keep it. I'm going to bring you down and show you what I've got. I've got it setting on a really thick towel because I don't want to ruin my new countertop. I'm going to try to show you what I've got here. You can see it's starting to render down, and you've got that clear liquid, the lard in the bottom of the pan. I'm just going to go through and stir it a little bit, and then I'm going to put it back in the oven. This, as I said, works much better for me. And then I can kind of just forget about it while I go about doing other things. Okay, I just took the pan of lard out of the oven, the big skillet. It's done very well, and quite a bit of it now is ready to be filtered and put back into jars. I've got my jars in the oven at 215 degrees. They're going to be in there well, closer to 15-20 minutes, but I like to leave them a minimum of 10 minutes. I want my jars to be hot. I got my lids in boiling water. I want them hot, and I'm going to put this hot melted lard that I'm going to strain and put them in the jars. And the plan is that they will self-seal and be shelf-stable. The thing you want to do when rendering down lard or tallow or any fat is the idea is to get all the impurities out. You just want the pure fat, and it will be shelf-stable. I've learned from experience, if you don't get all the moisture cooked out, you're going to get mold, and that did happen to me once. Since then, I've never added water to my lard, my fat, as I'm cooking it down, because I just couldn't get all the water to come out. So let's get them hot jars and them hot lids and get to straining some of this lard off. Okay, here's my lard that's starting to cook down. I want to get some of that melted fat off of there. So I've got my hot jar. I even got my metal funnel that is hot. Don't want a plastic one to melt. And I'm going to put my strainer in just like I do any other of the fats that I render down. Now this is going to go in kind of yellow looking, but when it starts to solidify, it's going to turn into the most beautiful creamy white. I also have put my lids in some simmering water. You don't have to do, I just wanted to make sure. My lids were in a pan with water and I let them simmer for a few minutes to sterilize them and to make them hot. I want everything as hot as I can get it. I had put my jars, ran my jars through the dishwasher, and then they were in the oven to get hot and to sterilize. Okay. Looks like I can use just a little bit more. Since you're not canning this, you don't have to worry about having, you know, a lid an inch of headspace or whatever. Okay, yowza, that's hot. So we're gonna lift this off. Now, my lids are wet. I don't want any water in my lard, so I'm gonna dry these hot lids off best I can. Clean paper towel. What a mess. And then I'll put my ring on and put it on tight, and then I'm going to move this over and let it cool down. And of course I'm using my 4-jar lids. I want to use new lids with this because I want them to seal. If you're going to store this in the refrigerator or the freezer, it wouldn't be so important that everything seals, because it'll keep in the refrigerator, I know for a fact, over a year. I'm going to go ahead and fill a couple of the more up, and when I get down to where I need to start rendering the fat down some more, we'll come back. Hey guys, I messed up on that first jar. I just finished filling my second jar. I forgot to wipe the rim of the jar with some vinegar. Because if I get this lard on the rim of the jar, it's not going to seal. So you're going to have to make sure that you clean the rim just like you do when you're canning. Okay, I've moved back over by the stove because now that the lard is rendering down so far, I'm going to move it and do it on the stove top. And I'm going to use smaller skillets. I'll still have a very low heat on the big skillet, but I brought over one of my smaller cast iron skillets so I can do a little at a time. At this point, I'm going to use the heat very low. I do not want to burn this lard. Kind of gives a yucky taste. So I'll be doing this very low and slow, and as I get it more and more rendered down, I'll fill a jar as I get to that point. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing now, and I'll probably come back. You saw how I jar it up, so I'll probably come back when I'm almost done, and then you can see the cracklings too. Okay, I'm not sure if you can tell how much bigger this is. Just my standard everyday cast iron skillet that I use every day, 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm turning both of the burners on them to low. To keep the fat from burning, I'm going to go ahead and add some already rendered down the melted fat to this pan. And then I'm going to add the pieces of solid fat. And I want to get them cooked down, rendered down, and I'll be watching both skillets, keeping a close eye on both. I didn't weigh this pork fat that my friend gave me. I'm going to guess maybe 2 pounds. There were 2 bags, and I'm guessing about 2 pounds. So now I wish I had. So I'll come back as we get a little further into the process. Right now it's just a matter of me sitting here and keeping a close eye on it, making sure it doesn't burn. Now you know why I like to put it in the oven. Okay, well, I have finished the lard, and I have 2 plates of cracklings. I don't care for them. They're okay, they're good. Probably right here. But, and the old farmer he likes them, but it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to bag these up and give them away. A lot of people that like cracklings. I'll show them to you. They are good. They're really good. People use them in a variety of recipes, like they add them to their cornbread. Someone said the other day when they make popcorn, they heat these up and put them in their popcorn. That sounds good. Might keep a little just for that popcorn. I ended up with 2 quarts. I think it's like 3/4 of a quart jar, a pint, and 1, 2, 3, 4 half pints of lard. And the reason I'm using the half pint jars and the wide mouth, the oddball pint, is I want to make sure I have plenty of jars for regular garden canning. So let me turn you around. Disregard the mess. Remember, today was 2 projects plus a lot of other side stuff going on, but I'll get it cleaned up. So let me turn you around and show you what we ended up with. Okay, there's the 2 plates. That's a plate and a platter of cracklings, and you can tell there's quite a few. The cracklings are after you've rendered down the fat. That's the brown crispies are what are left over. Like I said, they're good. They're just not my favorite. So I'll be bagging those up and giving them away. Here's the lard that I ended up with. Like I said, it looks yellow now. This looks darker just because it's reflecting the towel. But as it goes ahead and solidifies, it's still pretty liquid. It will turn a beautiful creamy white. And I will wait and add that in my thumbnail so you can see. All the jars have sealed except for the last few that are still hot. So I'm very pleased with that, which means that these will be shelf stable. A couple little end of the video tidbits I wanted to share. People always ask me, well, Barb, how do you get your tea towels, bar sack towels, whatever you want to call them, how do you get them clean after you have used them to strain, especially like when I make ghee or lard or tallow, you know, any of the fattier foods? Well, the first thing I do is I'll kind of scrape off if there's any large pieces of sediment, and after I've done that, I will wash them in my sink or rinse them good. I will use some Dawn dishwashing liquid and get the oils and stuff out, kind of hang them in my laundry room a little bit so they're not laying in the laundry basket getting moldy. And then I just wash them with my regular whites, and I always use hot soapy bleach water when I wash whites. An added benefit to rendering your lard and tallow in a cast iron skillet is it gets a good seasoning when you're done. I've just wiped this out with a paper towel and it's going into my cupboard. And don't forget the 4 jars canning lids. And if you use my code at checkout, Farmer's Wife, you can get a 10% discount. I hope you'll give these a try. I know you'll be happy. And guys, canning season is getting full blown for most of us. And a lot of the stores are running out of canning supplies and lids already. So get your lids ordered. As a matter of fact, I just noticed I've got to place an order myself. All right, I'll see y'all next time, and thanks for watching.